When researching this project, I considered to myself, why is demographic modelling important? It's usually expressed as faceless numbers, with change in these not having much of an impact on both my life and yours. But demography is more important than this. Demography is defined as the study of human populations, illustrating the change in size of these over time. Yet this definition fails to get to the true heart of demography. Every 1 and 0 in a statistic, every point on a dot distribution, every coloured tone in a choropleth represents a living human, someone like me, someone like you. Demography is difficult by nature to quantify, while facts like age, births, and deaths are unambiguously numerical. Social factors such as induced abortion and the role of women play a notable role in varying population sizes. The retrospective analysis of population policies shows that social factors irrefutably had the greatest impact on these policies succeeding. Over the course of this video, we'll be analysing and evaluating the success of the first demographic model, as well as delving deep into the population policy of India from independence in the 1980s, and using these sources to inform the development of our own demographic model, which is better suited to the 21st century than previously used models, which can help inform solutions to modern problems such as food security and climate change. The first demographic model was invented in 1929 by Warren Thompson, which is informed by post-World War I analysis of population sizes of different Western European countries, such as the United Kingdom and France, and showed the impact of economic development on population, with the populations increasing in size due to developing modern industry and sanitation. However, Thompson's entire model fails to account for another side effect of economic development: immigration, with a footnote stating that we've assumed there was no immigration. As 184 million people live outside their country of nationality today, as opposed to 134 million births in 2022, counting for migration is vital to make an effective demographic model. To get more information to inform our demographic model, taking a Thompson approach of using past population policy data is crucial. Our case study for this will be India, the anti-natalist population policy from independence in 1947 to the 1980s. Post-independence, India used 5-year plans to implement economic policies, in a method akin to the 5-year plans of Joseph Stalin in the establishment of the Soviet Union in 1928. India's first 5-year plan, enacted in 1951, involved the allocation of 6.5 million rupees to family limitation and population control, a marked change for a government which maintained an attitude of neutrality with regards to population policy. This proved to be somewhat successful, with birth rates climbing from 44 per thousand in 1951 to 61, to 37.2 per thousand in 1971 to 81. However, this proved to be less successful than originally thought, with only 20% of allocated funding being spent by the conclusion of India's first 5-year plan. This trend continuing further into the second 5-year plan, where 44% of allocated funding was spent, with corruption being the root cause behind this parsimony. In later interplan periods, money was given to families to accept sterilisation, but this was used coercing people in a time when GNI per capita was a mere $100. India aimed for lowering its birth rate to 25 per thousand by around 1982, but this ended up around 35 per thousand by 1982. With the inability of India to lower birth rates to its desired levels, and forecasts on when the population would hit 1.3 billion being off by 10 years, some may argue that India's 5-year plans aren't worth informing the demographic model on. However, we get some important factors that will affect our population size, the most critical being GDP. GDP has a twofold economic impact on population size. Higher GDPs will result in less need to have children, due to there being less need for subsistence farming, therefore lower fertilities. It will also result in increased levels of migration for prospective residents, seeking an ameliorated quality of life. Another factor affecting population size is death rates. These decreasing result in an increase in population sizes if the birth rate outweighs the death rate. Additionally, death rates are correlated with GDP. Rich countries tend to have lower death rates due to advances in healthcare. In an interview with a fellow geographer, when faced with a task, he was unwilling to have children, meaning that apathy associated with giving birth should also be an albeit small factor which we consider. As shown in the attempt to implement India's 5-year plans, corruption was also a key factor in changing the success of their population policy, as a 1% increase in corruption is linked to a 0.2% decrease in economic growth. This link shows that corruption will be able to impact migration, as migration is correlated with GDP rates. Now, using lessons learned from India's population policy, as well as inserting other important factors, we can make our own demographic model using Python. Python is a programming language that can be used for many applications, but today we'll be using it to create a demographic model. For this example, we'll be using the hypothetical country of Methosia. While I could explain Methosia to you, Methosian government have asked me to play their tourism advert to give you this information instead. Welcome to Methosia, the land of wonders, where dreams come to life and adventures wait at every turn. Discover this hidden gem, a vibrant nation with a population of 10,000 and a GDP per capita of $1,000. In Methosia, the possibilities are endless. We have built a thriving economy that nurtures innovation and offers opportunities to everyone. Our birth rate of 20 per thousand and a low death rate of 12 per thousand demonstrates a healthy and balanced lifestyle that Methosians embrace. Immerse yourself in the rich tapestry of our culture and vibrant festivals and captivating traditions passed down through generations. Explore the breathtaking natural beauty that Methosia has to offer, from majestic mountains to pristine beaches. There's something for every adventurer and nature lover. Indulge your taste buds on mouth-watering cuisine, blending flavours from different regions, tantalising your senses with every bite. Whether you seek tranquility or excitement, Methosia has it all. Experience our warm hospitality and make memories that will last a lifetime. Methosia, where dreams become reality. For our demographic model, a variety of factors will impact Methosia's demography. These are population, the amount of people who are citizens of the country at a given time, updates on a yearly basis with a starting value of 10,000. GDP capita, the GDP per capita of each citizen. This will be given in 2022 US dollars, updates on a yearly basis, starting value of $1,000. Global GDP capita, the average GDP of the rest of the world in our simulation. This will be given in 2022 US dollars, updates on a yearly basis, with starting value of $12,000 and is takes the value according to the World Bank. Birth rate, the amount of babies born per 1,000 people in a year, updates on a yearly basis, starting value of 20. Death rate, the amount of people who die each year per 1,000, updates on a yearly basis, starting value of 12. Years, the amount of time the simulator will go for. Generally, the higher the years, the longer the program will take to run, and the more depth our results will have. GDP growth, the per year growth rate of our country's GDP. This will decline slowly. Migrant pool, the amount of people who are physically able to move to the country, which stays constant at 1 million. Inward migration rate, the GDP per capita of our country divided by the global GDP per capita to give migration rate based on GDP. Apathy rate was first theorized by Hughes, an exponential decay function based on GDP per capita to a decline in birth rates over time. Corruption rate, the amount of corruption in the economy, randomly generates a floating point number between 0.99 and 1.01. Outward migration rate, the rate that people leave the country, based on 1 minus corruption rate, but is minimized at 0 in case the corruption rate is over 1. Death rate change, an exponential decay function based on GDP per capita, showing a decline in death rates over time. This will decline faster than birth rates. Population policy, an event that has a 1% chance of occurring each year, which will increase birth rates by 5. Natural disaster, 1% chance of occurring, death rate increases by 10. Once we've set all the constants in our code, we can go into the actual logic of the program. However many years we set the code running for, it will enter a loop. At the start of the loop, we will save the year that we are currently in. Then, we'll calculate the amount of people who were born or died naturally, and the amount of people who migrated into or away from Methosia. We'll then add this number onto the population and update our GDP per capita, birth rate, death rate, GDP growth rate, global GDP per capita, apathy rate, corruption rate, death rate change, and inward and outward migration rates. After this, we check to see if successful population policy has been implemented. If so, the birth rate will increase by 5. This generally occurs once every 100 years. Additionally, we'll also check to see if a natural disaster has occurred. If so, the death rate will increase by 10. Like with our birth rate, this generally occurs once every 100 years. Once this has all been done, we'll get a nice animated graph showing the population of time for Methosia, like this. As our animation showed, Methosia's population increases rapidly for the first 100 years, but then has a rapid decline for the next 100 years, but a population level stabilises at around 500,000 people for the next 600 years. One thing that is worth noting is that every run is slightly different, as demographics can sometimes be up to chance. By the end of our period, we'll see a Methosia where natural change is effectively at zero. People migrating to Methosia for purely economic reasons, and leaving the country to retire due to its high GDP per capita. To conclude, while my newer model uses a variety of factors and undoubtedly improves on the work of Warren Thompson, the creation of demographic models should be an iterative process, and changes should be made, like accounting for natural resources and geopolitical relationships with other countries. However, these factors, especially the latter, are hard to quantify, and are therefore hard to use in the model. While India's attempt at population policy proves to be useful in informing the model, the rise in globalization and remote working means that in 50 years, the amount of people migrating for economic reasons may decrease in the future, as the number of jobs that can be accessed without having to move increases. Overall, we now consider the question, why is demographic modelling important? We should think less about the numbers with no name, or the Bardo population pyramid, and think instead about the impact of demographics on people, whether this be filling food supplies, an extra farmer in a field, or quite simply another human on the planet, with someone like me, someone like you. Thank you for watching.